If you play Bastion in Overwatch, then you are already familiar with his Artillery Strike ultimate. And just like most abilities in Overwatch, this one can be damage boosted by support heroes like Ana, Juno, and Mercy. Baptiste is also capable of providing damage boost to himself and his teammates in the form of an ultimate, Amplification Matrix. However, due to the way it works, it is not actually capable of providing Bastion's ultimate with a damage boost, making Baptiste the only support hero who cannot damage boost Bastion's Artillery Strike. Or can he? You see, the way Amplification Matrix works is that it amplifies any bullet or projectile that goes through it, as long as you are facing it directly or from an angle that is not directly above it. However, things get a bit more complicated with Bastion's ultimate, due to the fact that the Artillery Strike projectiles can only come directly from the sky. Or ceiling, somehow. If you were to stand right in the center of the Amplification Matrix, you'll notice that your shots are not being amplified. And a similar story happens with Bastion's ultimate if you try shooting directly in the center of Baptiste's ultimate. And since I'm not a sophisticated game developer who possesses necessary knowledge of the game to understand how some of these things work, I can only assume that the window itself is just not thick enough to have projectile and hit scan shots be amplified through it from a 90-degree angle. Which is totally justified due to the fact that, well, there will never be a situation where you'll be shooting directly down through the window. Unless you're trying to help your friendly far, to which I have to say... Yeah, I'm sorry, but you're not getting out of silver, my friend.
Ooh la la.
The obvious solution to our problem is to find a way to angle the Amplification Matrix so that it allows Artillery Strike to pass through it. So, if we were to just place it on an angled surface, surely it will work, right?
Nope.
Okay, fair enough, but what about placing the window on a payload or pushbot that is moving up or downwards? That is also a no. So, as you can see, this is our major obstacle, finding a way that allows the projectile to pass through the window. And no matter where or how we place the Amplification Matrix, it will always stay upright. So, we have to find some alternative solutions that will require some extra brain power. At first, my theoretical solution was that if we place the window on one of the many props that game has to offer, then it will attach to that prop, resulting in window going all crazy all over the place. Similar to one of early Symmetra bugs that allowed her to attach her sentries onto a basketball, creating some of the most funniest kills in the game. Oh, and also Orisa shield. Yeah. But unfortunately, while trying to do the very same thing with Baptiste's ultimate, you can see that the Amplification Matrix will be spawned on the ground, and after placing it, it yeets the prop into the stratosphere. If it were to be attached to a certain prop, we would see that the window will be slightly raised above the ground instead. So, we can dump this theory. For now. Another theory that came to my head involves Mei and her wall. You see, unlike the Amplification Matrix, Mei's wall is actually a bit more flexible when it comes to how it positions itself in the game, due to it being an actual physical object that spawns at a given location. So, for example, by placing a Mei wall on a moving payload that is going uphill, will result in Mei's wall changing its vertical position and matching the payload's angle. And if we were to place an Amplification Matrix on top of Mei's wall that is spawned on top of a payload that is moving upwards, nothing really changes, and the window retains its vertical position. Although it does look quite funny after Mei's wall disappeared, not gonna lie. Okay, so we can also dump this theory in a bin. Well, this is going to be a difficult nut to crack, isn't it?
Hey, is there a problem I can help you with, Pop?
Not now, comment section. I'm trying to figure out how we can amplify Bastion's ultimate with Baptiste's Amplification Matrix, and so far my theories have all failed, and I don't know what to do.
Oh wait, I know. The solution is quite simple actually. All you have to do is have an enemy Genji deflected to your friendly Genji, who will then deflect it back through the window, killing the enemy. It's that easy.
That's not how we do things on this channel, dude. And besides, it's not even Bastion who gets the kill credit on the kill feed, that's Genji. So that would not even count. Okay, so back to business. After testing all of these theories, and some of the other ones that I won't go too deep into since they are essentially a variation of initial concepts, I was about to give up on this whole video idea and theory that I came up with at 2 AM while taking a shower, and just as I was about to give up, I made a huge discovery for myself. Do you remember when I said that it is impossible to place an Amplification Matrix on top of the props? Well, that isn't entirely true. You see, while doing this whole research, I realized that there are about 4 types of props in Overwatch. There are props that can be moved and interacted with, but are not part of the geometry and don't have any collision, with some of them not even being visible to you if you are playing on lower graphical settings, which means that you are unable to stand on them or do anything beyond just punching them in the air. Then, there are props that I call destructible props, which initially do have collisions allowing you to stand on them and utilize them in some creative ways, like using them for shortcuts around the map or placing deployables on them. But once destroyed, they lose all of those properties and cease to exist. These props are visible to everyone, regardless of graphics settings. The third type of props are the ones that are essentially just part of the map and geometry and cannot be moved, altered or destroyed. And yes, you can move the payload, but I am including it here since I don't want to make an extra category. And the last, the most important type of props for us is what I would call dynamic props. These types of props come with collisions and are part of the map geometry, which based on my observation is the rarest type of props you can find in Overwatch. In fact, if I am not wrong, there are actually only 2 props in the entire game that can be listed under this category. These are the props that can be interacted with, but cannot be destroyed and always stay on the map regardless of what you do to them. And as you may have guessed, they also move. However, this silly prop that we can see on Busan Downtown does not truly work with Amplification Matrix. But the one we actually need is located all the way here on Blizzard World. If we go behind the first point of this map, we'll find this hanging shark, which as you may have guessed, also moves when shot at. And fortunately for us, and my sanity, you can in fact place the amplification matrix on this shark. And you will never guess what happens when we start shooting its limbs. The amplification matrix moves alongside it, and it actually affects both X and Y axis of this window. So, we finally found the perfect prop that can be moved, that is also able to angle the window in a way that should in theory allow the artillery strike projectile to go through it. So, the final question that needs to be answered, will it actually work? And after about 10 minutes of trying to line it up correctly with Bastion's ultimate, this happened. Wait. No f***ing way, it is actually possible. It is actually possible to do this shit. What? Nah, that's so stupid. That is actually so fucking stupid. Trust me, I have never been this excited to find something so obscure, so niche, so ridiculously pointless in this silly game that I play and make videos about. This really made me happy, and I just want to say that—
Okay, but hear me out. Bastion is not the only hero who can kill you with a nuke coming all the way down from the sky. Doomfist also exists, you know?
Why do you have to ruin the moment, man? And no, before any of you ask, it is not possible to amplify Doomfist Meteor Strike since it's not a projectile nor a hit scan. But just to be sure, cause I knew some people would ask, I sat down and tried this for almost 15 minutes and the result is a resounding no. You cannot amplify Doomfist's ultimate. So with this newly acquired knowledge, you can finally escape the purgatory of gold and ascend all the way to the ranks of champion. And if any of you manage to find other ways that change an angle of the amplification matrix, feel free to ping me on Discord. Link down below in the description. Thank you for watching.